Themes are so important, guys, because it helps you get focused. It helps you codify big ideas. It helps your team get united, right? So get everybody aligned. And when we get aligned, we get along. That's when everything becomes multiplicative.
I'm thrilled for today's episode, guys. Today, you're going to walk away. Your hair will be standing up. You will be ready to go because today we release the word of the year. This has become a thematic experience every year, Dr. Steven. So we've been looking forward to this for probably about a month and a half.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Steven Franson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Steven Franson.
And we are thrilled to be here with you in 2024. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. And we are thrilled to be joining with you today. Dr. Steven, you and I, obviously we are recording this, so this is still right at the end of 2023. You and I are in a major state of reflection and thanking and gratitude. God is so good, and we are so thankful and grateful. So we just, as we begin this episode, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all of you for the work that you do, your commitment. Our word for the year in 2023 was commitment. So I want to recognize and honor all of you for the commitment, for all of you who went all in as we declared at the beginning of 2023, we declared the year of commitment to going all in, that it was going to take a commitment, a higher level of committedness to be able to be ready for what's coming next. And so, Dr. Steven, I'm grateful for you and thankful for you that this is our 5th calendar year of the podcast. Officially, we're hitting the 5th calendar year. And I'm thrilled for today's episode, guys. Today, you're going to walk away. Your hair will be standing up. You will be ready to go because today we release the word of the year. This has become a thematic experience every year, Dr. Steven. So we've been looking forward to this for probably about a month and a half, you and I. So it's great to be together today.
Dr. Pete, as always, what a pleasure. And I do love this end of year energy. I love our tradition, the way we run our podcast, with the way we run our business and all of our coaching, very thematic. And as these themes come around, they seem to come around faster. I was warned about that, right? As time goes by, things kind of happen faster. I feel like it was just yesterday when we were announcing the theme of the year for 2023. Excited to bring the theme of the year for 2024. Themes are so important, guys, because it helps you get focused. It helps you codify big ideas. It helps your team get united, right? So get everybody aligned. And when we get aligned, we get along. That's when everything becomes multiplicative. When you get everybody thinking about the same thing, focusing on the same thing, that's when everybody's rowing in stride, right? So everybody's got their oars dug in, they get their feet pressed against the floor, and they're just pushing out of their legs, pulling with their backs, everyone in sync, heading to the same place. It's all about getting into alignment and aligned around a theme. I'm psyched to be releasing the theme of 2024. I think it's super powerful. I think it's the perfect theme. You and I always we come together on this. We just commit to prayer time, reflection time, and thinking about casting a vision into the next year for ourselves, for our company, for our group, for our followers, for our listeners, for you to take back to your people and to your tribe. You know, there's a lot of weight to this, and we will continually use this as a touchstone through the year. So we don't take this lightly. It's an inspired word, and I think it's wildly appropriate for the wild ride we have ahead, right? So here we go, man. It's 2024. It's going to be awesome, right? So the year promises to be many things. Fascinating is one of those. I know that we've got a lot of moving parts. This is, it is primed. It is positioned to be an exciting year. There's another word you want to be using this year. Interesting is a word that we can use, where it's an election year in the United States. If you're listening to this around the world, I know there's global implications of that. We've got World War III on the horizon, potentially, as you hear, if you watch the news, everybody thinks the world, the sky is falling, and we've got conflict happening in 3 different locations in the world right now that are all kind of positioning us towards, a giant question mark. Do we have COVID part 2, the sequel, headed our way because the first one left so many unanswered questions? Oh my goodness. Please don't say that out loud. I know the reality is, Dr. Pete, is as leaders, we have a tendency to be pathologically optimistic. At least I know that that's our slant here on this. But at the same time, we want to be vigilant, right? We want to have our eyes wide open, and we want to focus on part of our responsibility here is preparedness. And the preparedness of ourselves as leaders, getting the preparedness of our teams, of our businesses, of our practice. And we are preparing ourselves for the best year ever, regardless of what's to come, because we are ready. We know that we have spent the last 5 years in training. We have spent the last 5 years in the kitchen, in the heat, and God has had us exactly where He's wanted us to get us ready for what's to come in 2024. Dr. Pete, I'm excited about this 2024 year, the year of 2024 ahead. I know that we are positioned to have the best year ever because we are ready, and we are declaring that the theme of the year for 2024 is ready.
You heard it. It's out of the bag. Doc Stephen, here we go. And you said it, and so I'm going to repeat it. You are ready. I'm saying that to you as a listener to this, that you are ready. Sometimes you need to be reminded and told you're ready for this. You're ready. I remember, when we were birthing children, our midwife would always say, there's a moment when it's like the come to Jesus moment where you're like, the baby's ready, you're ready, push, like, let's go. Like there's a readiness, like you it's like there's an anticipation, building, preparation, building. And then it's like, you're ready, baby's ready, you're ready, let's go. And it's that moment, it's ready. And I just want to say to you, you're ready. Many of you are ready. It's time. You've been doing the preparing. You've been committed. You are committed. And you're ready for what's coming in 2024. You're ready. It's time. And I just want to speak that. I want to say it because it's true. And I want to remind you that you are ready. You have been prepared and preparing, and you are ready. And it's time. And it's 2024, and it's time. And all of you who are listening, you know what I mean when I say that, because you know what's going on in your heart and your mind right now. And that's what I'm saying you're ready for. You know what it is. Think about it. I want you to think about what is it that's coming, that you know what readiness means and that you're ready. Dr. Stephen, we do a theme every year. We have over the last 5 years. I'm just going to do a quick recap because it's very important. You see there's a beautiful golden thread through each one of these themes. In 2020, we said 2020 was going to be the year of the pivot. That was the year of pivoting. We knew that to go from being an owner-operator to the CEO of your business, to turn that job into a business, that was when we just were releasing this podcast. We said it's a pivot. It's going to be a transformation process. The pivot, perfect timing for what we all encountered in 2020, which we had no idea was coming when the catastrophe of the COVID catastrophe hit our profession, hit our world, and we were ready. Why? Because it was the year of the pivot, 2020. 2021, our theme was the theme of being agile. That was the word for the year. We had a theme for the year. You talk about the multiplicative power of a theme for the year. The theme of pivot, the theme of agile, so powerful to be agile. And we broke it down, what that meant. And that's where we were developing. You were developing by pivoting. You developed character and capacity. By developing the agility gene, by developing the fitness level that's required to be a remarkable CEO, to have the agility that was developed in 2021. Then in 2022, the word and theme for the year was resilience. And we know what it means to be resilient. This means that you have the capacity to respond, to rebound from the challenges that are guaranteed to come with building a remarkable practice, having a remarkable life, being a remarkable CEO, and being a chiropractor in a world that's desperately in need for the chiropractic message. And so we talked about what does that mean? And we themed and we spent our time developing resilience and building that character of resilience and being resilient leaders. In 2023, we rolled into 2023 resilient. And with our resilience, we said, you know what? It's time to drill down and become even more committed. It's going to require a greater measure and greater degree of commitment to the work, to each other, to the mission, to our calling, to our purpose. And we doubled down and we said, and when you build a team, your team is going to be a reflection of your commitment. So we spent last year focusing on our teams and our commitment level and ensuring that the people that we align ourselves with are fully committed, fully vested, fully on board. And that has set us up perfectly for where we are now going into 2024 with a fully committed team, with the character of resilience, with the ability to be agile and being ready to pivot at all times. That put us perfectly in a position for the theme for 2024, which is the year of readiness. And my friends, I'll say this, that your growth that you will experience this year and beyond will be directly a reflection of your readiness. Dr. Stephen, I can't think of a more perfect segue and setup for the year that we're about to have of great growth than the theme for this year, which is readiness.
So yeah, Dr. Pete, just listening to you review and walk us down memory lane there over the last 5 years, I think I was equal parts just smiling and joy-filled and sphincteric at the same time, breaking into a sweat, just recognizing, wow, that last 5 years, what a journey that was. And what I realize and appreciate is that we are now battle-hardened warriors. Everyone that's listening to this right now. So if you've been in practice at least 4 or 5 years, I'm speaking to you as well. If you've been in practice 55 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those last 5 years were incredible. I don't even know what happened the 5 years before that. Frankly, I couldn't name any of the themes of the year or whatever, but my goodness, the last 5 years has been such a concentrated journey and it's been extraordinary, right? And these themes have really helped codify the team, get everybody together and unify the team and allow us to take our leadership back, to take our autonomy back. As it felt like so much of it from the beginning was reacting, and then eventually we started to be responding. And now we're proactively positioning ourselves to really take advantage of the opportunities in front of us. Right. So initially in 2020, we were reacting to, this meteor that was coming towards the planet. Right. So it was the concept of pivoting. This was a self-preservation. This was our way of saying, let's take back some authority. Let's take back influence over our destiny. And we're going to choose to deliver the same value, but we're going to deliver it differently, right? It was pivoting on how we delivered value, knowing that our community needed it more than ever. The pivot was simply on how we delivered value, right? And then on the other side of that, we had in 2021, we had agility. We had developed a new skill set of having a contingency plans. We had plan A, plan B, plan C, and we were just on the ready to change. And our teams had to be agile because the environment was changing. It was super dynamic. And then we moved from there. And then it was resilience, right? Because we were the buffalo leadership coming through the storm, and we got ourselves to the other side of the storm. And on the other side of the storm, what we recognized is we had developed enormous resilience. And that resilience was going to serve us well then and into the future, and serve our patients and our communities well. And then on the other side of that, it was in 2023, it was commitment with we were emboldened at that point, because what we realized is we made it through the storm. And by the way, we were right all along, and I feel like I've never seen so much certainty and conviction and clarity coming out of the chiropractic profession. So proud of how we weathered that storm. And we were all in, right? Our commitment was to making sure that we got that message unsullied to our communities. Our teams are committed. We are in the business of saving lives, and we are going to be loud and proud about that, right? And here we are positioned with all of that development, looking forward into the future, which promises to be crazy, okay? But I don't know about you, man, but I'm ready for crazy, right? So I've been to war. I've been through the battles, and my team is ready. And as I hear you say that, your growth will be a reflection of your readiness, your readiness as a leader, your team's readiness, your practice and your business's readiness, your patient's readiness. So I think this conversation, as we go forward and we prepare for 2024, let's have a conversation around readiness. For some people, they might be like, man, I'm not sure if I'm ready. Dr. Pete says I'm ready. Okay, that's great. I love the vote of confidence. am I ready? I need to know that, and I need to be able to audit that and assess that. And I know that I can always improve in my readiness, right? Because it's like fitness, right? You never arrive, right? So this is something that we want to stay in tip top shape. So I think we'll take them through a process that we do, assessing and auditing this dynamic of readiness. And I think the Rubik's Cube is the perfect construct.
Yeah, I love the Rubik's Cube. I think everyone that encounters the Rubik's Cube has one of these like, oh, that's so good, right? That's just so good. I love that. Like that makes so much sense. So we want to use the Rubik's Cube. It's been a minute, Dr. Stephen, since even in our podcast. I mean, I use the Rubik's Cube regularly in coaching, but in our podcast, we really haven't, really dug into the Rubik's Cube for a bit of time. And so I want to spend just a little bit of time today, like you said, going through this, obviously in this podcast. And I think in my mind, I have some episodes I think we should be able to unpack in regards to this moving forward, because there's so much depth to each one of these. But let's just start with the Rubik's Cube's first side, Dr. Stephen, which is vision. So you asked the question. I mean, I said the statement, you're ready, but you asked the question, are you ready? In other words, let's look at it through the lens of each side of the Rubik's Cube of the business, right? So solving your business is like solving the Rubik's Cube puzzle. And if you're familiar with the Rubik's Cube, there's 6 sides and there's 9 squares in each side. And I have all the colors, and all the colors need to get lined up. If you're like me, which I'm okay at doing the Rubik's Cube, you can get really frustrated really easy if somebody comes up and moves your Rubik's Cube. Okay. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. You're trying to solve it and somebody comes up and does bop, bop, bop. And you're like, what just happened? And then you realize, I'm going to need to call one of my boys over here because they know how to do it, and get it back to like, it's good. And then I'll undo it, and then I'll try to redo it. Right. It's one of those situations. So we're going to look at your business like that, because there's a lot of layers to running a remarkable business, and who you were, your business from 2016 and your business from 2024, your business from 2020, your business to 2024, it's different. So where are we at right now? And the question is your vision ready? In other words, when I look at a vision, Dr. Stephen, the way I envision vision is you have a vision, and the vision is intended for you to walk into it. In other words, if you don't have a vision that's ready, then you have nothing to walk into. So that means you're just walking around in circles. Without a vision, you're not moving forward. You might be moving, but we say the difference between motion and movement. Visions are intended to be casted, caught, and walked into. So you walk into a vision. When you cast a vision, somebody goes like this, oh, I see it. And then when I see it, I know where I'm going. I know I'm walking that way or going that way. That's what vision is. So the question is, do you have a vision? Is your vision ready? Is your 2024 vision? And as we know, Dr. Stephen, we teach you have 3 frames of time with which as a CEO we always operate in. We operate in the now moment, we operate in the next, and we operate in the ultimately. So we organize our vision in 3 stages of time: now, next, and ultimately. Ultimately would be 3 years from now, this is what I see. Do you have clarity for the vision then? The next would be in the next 12 months. Do you see the vision, and are we ready to move in that direction? And then the now would be the next 90 days, vision for the next 90 days right now. Are we ready? Dr. Stephen, we have to start there. But we need to go through each step of the Rubik's to troubleshoot as a readiness score. Are you ready? As a CEO, your team, are you ready? So we're going to start there. Start with vision.
So my son, Sam, who's 19, he's a sophomore at Liberty. I gave my kids this reading challenge, and one of the books was Dr. Guy Reekman's book, Make Your Life Extraordinary. Sorry, Dr. Guy, if I'm butchering the title. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. What a phenomenal read. And it was amazing. Like my kids, if they read the book and write a summary of the book, they have to write a 1 to 2 page summary, and I give them $100 to read the book. So that's an awesome parenting hack for those of you who are trying to get your kids to read, try to get them out of your back pocket, out of your wallet. Right. So, Sam just submitted his 30-second book. So he's made $3,200 since I started this this challenge 9 months ago, which is extraordinary because Sam just would never read before, right? So it's a proud papa moment. And of course, we chose the books, right? So one of them was Make Your Life Extraordinary. And he came to me afterwards and I was like, so what was your big takeaway? And he's like, Dad, I had no idea how important vision is. He's like, Dr. Guy talks about vision and vision story quite a bit and is like, I guess I never really thought about it, but you have to start like Stephen, one of them was seven habits. Stephen Covey's like, Covey talks about starting with the end in mind. And Dr. Guy talks about the importance of vision. And he's like, I put those two things together and recognize it's like, yeah, you always have to have like a really clear picture of what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to do, whatever, before you start moving. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. He picked up on that. I'm like, imagine having that consciousness at 19, recognizing clarity of your vision of what success looks like to you is so important. And all worthwhile work starts with vision. All right. So ask yourself, are you ready going into 2024? Have you created clarity around your vision story for success for 2024? Do you have that clarity? Have you conveyed that vision story to your team? Do they share your clarity? Do they understand what success looks like? Where are we going next, the next iteration of this business in 2024? And most importantly, what is their role in helping you do it, right? So we're pulled by our vision. We're pushed by our purpose, but we're pulled by our vision, as you said, Dr. Pete, right? So getting that vision right for 2024 and making it objective and measurable and having your goals and milestones and metrics all lined up, having an infographic that people can reference in their minds, maybe working the word I'm ready or readiness, we're ready into your theme of the year for your practice, right? Casting that vision, just painting that picture for them so that they also feel energized and empowered by the theme. We are ready. We're ready to tackle 2024. And then after vision, the second side of the Rubik's Cube is leadership, right? So leadership implies that you've gone from laborer to leader, right? Leadership implies that you have people following you, right? So the question is, would you follow you? If you've just cast that vision of 2024, would you follow you to lead you to manifest that vision, right? And if not, why not? And what muscles do you need to further develop to get you ready for what's to come and what the version 2024 will call of your business will call of you as a leader. The person I've been studying the most in the last 6 months is Dr. Stephen Franson, version 2024. I've been studying that person. I've been looking at that person and scrutinizing that person and saying, man, who do I need to become to be able to lead what this business is going to require of me in 2024? It's a fascinating study, Dr. Pete, because we know in big businesses, if they're at 50 million and they want to go to 150 million, they most likely will replace the CEO. They'll fire the CEO and bring in somebody who's been to 250 million, right? So it would take that cute little $50 million company and pull it forward into the 150 million and beyond, right? So truth is, most likely you're not going to fire yourself as CEO, but you are going to replace yourself as CEO, the version 2024. So what attributes, what muscles, what skill sets, what qualities are you going to need to develop like muscles intentionally so that you can be ready for what your business is going to ask of you in 2024?
And then on the heels of that, so I love this, who do you need to become? You scrutinize the who you're becoming, knowing who I'm becoming is who I am being now is preparing me for who I'm becoming next, right? So who I'm being now is preparing me for what is coming next. And so that's why we use the accountability grid to audit the functionality of your business, which is the third side of the Rubik's Cube, the puzzle to solve, which is your systems. And so we look at the systems of your business through the lens of the functionality of your business. In other words, how is the business functioning? And there's 5 specific domains of the business. There's 15 primary functions of your business. Whether you're doing, $500,000 or 25 million, these are the 15 primary functions of your business. And turning that job into a business, and that each function needs to have a vision, has to have leadership, and it needs to be able to function to be a container for what growth is coming. So when we audit our business looking back, we audit it. And then when we make our decisions moving forward, where we need to prioritize and focus, we're doing that based on what we're becoming, what the business will become. Just like as a leader we become, your business systems have to be the container to hold the vision, Does it have the capacity? And what do we need to do to make this business ready, functionally ready to be able to handle the growth that's coming, to be able to ignite the growth that we desire to come, right? Your functionality will be the lid with which your ability to grow. So that's the third. So is your business systematically, is it ready? Is the version 24 systems in place for what the vision is that you have for your business, Dr. Stephen? With that, then we go to the fourth side, which is your team.
Yeah. So you just said it, Dr. Pete. So I think that's the perfect tool to audit and to assess the readiness of the systems of the business, right? So as we bridge between systems and people, the accountability grid is the tool that we use to audit the practice, right? To be able to look at it and be able to assess, okay, there's 5 domains in the practice: attraction, marketing, lead generation, conversion, sales, compelling people to commit their resources to get what they want to achieve through your services, delivery, right, which is retention, which is creating long-term relationships and delivering clinical excellence and better outcomes. There's team building, which is we're about to talk to you about, surrounding yourself with a team of world-class A players. And then there's the finances, the collections, the monies, the inflows, outflows, profitability, et cetera, right? So attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and collections, those are the 5 primary domains. There's 15 primary functions underneath those, the sub-functions. So there's 15 things that you've got to make sure are totally systematized. So you got to audit yourself and say, are they ready? Are those systems ready? Are we ready for what 2024 is going to bring? So each of those systems needs to be audited, and we scale, we grade them on a score of 0 to 10. Okay. So scoring that from 0 to 10, 10 being genius, 0 being hopeless, score it, right? So if you're a 9 and 10, it means that you're going to crush your goals. Right? You're confident of it. It is 8 is, it's at risk. It's questionable. Anything that's a 7 or below is a constraint. Okay. It's a constraint of the business. So you got to recognize that ain't ready. If you're a 7, 5, 3, 2, 1 down the one, it gets worse as you get further away from 10, right? So those are the constraints of the business that say it's not ready, right? So the readiness factor in that is low. So Dr. Pete, I think we should give away the accountability grid. I know we've given that away in the past, but let's give that in the show notes down below here so that they can download that awesome tool. It's a tool we reference all the time. Why? Because we use it all the time. And so do the most successful chiropractic businesses in the world. They use this tool because in one page, you can audit and assess the readiness of your entire practice, right? So the second question is, who owns it? Okay. So now we're on the fourth side of the Rubik's Cube, which is team. Who owns it? Who owns it? Not who does it, who owns it? Who's accountable to it, right? So accountability is what takes that motion and turns it into movement, which is what we all want. The question around team, now the fourth side of the Rubik's Cube, is your team ready for 2024? Where is your team's readiness factor? Whether it's their philosophical readiness, whether it's their skill set readiness, whether it's the talent readiness. Do you have the right people in the right seat doing the right work the right way? Where is your readiness? Not for 2023. That's old news. We're talking about what's your degree of readiness when it comes to your team for 2024? Is it time for you to add that next A player? Are you ready to split that front desk between check-ins and checkouts? Are you ready to add a new patient concierge to increase your capacity? Are you ready to add a caregiver associate doctor or a business builder associate doctor? Are you ready to add a digital marketing expert? Are you ready to add an office manager, upgrade your office manager into a COO? Is your business ready to make the investment to create the capacity to grow into? What's your degree of readiness? Are you ready to serve? Do you have horsepower issues? Or maybe you have a staph infection. Maybe you've been tolerating B players, or dare I say C or D players, and they're holding you hostage, right? So have you tolerated long enough, and that's derailed your readiness going into next year? Truth be told is that so many chiropractors are afraid to let go of a relationship that they know is way, way past due, right? So at the end of the day, where is your readiness for the ability to find, interview, vet, hire, onboard, train, and equip your next A player? Dr. Pete, when it comes to being a leader, one thing 2024 is going to require of you is to be able to attract, convert, and retain A players to create a world-class team.
And I'll say one thing that A players require is they want to be trained, that there is a culture of training. So the question I'm going to ask here is, do you have a culture, a training culture in your office? Is your business a training culture? And that's an important word. Is there a culture of training? In other words, everyone that's a part of the team wholeheartedly understands and believes in the significance, the value of training, embraces it wholeheartedly, and desires training, and is showing up ready to train. And training is a culture. And is your training culture ready for 2024? Is your training process up to the standard for 2024? Are you ready? Are you training like it's 2024? Are you training like it's a different year? Have you gotten weak with your training? Have you gotten sloppy with the training? Have the trainings become flat or down? Are the trainings where they need to be? Training is a culture, and you have to embrace training as a business that is growing. And for a team to embrace training, the team has to desire and want to be trained. And training is a part of how we equip people. So I like how you said it, Dr. Stephen. You talked about the right people, putting them in the right role, developing the skills, and the skill development process is ongoing. Heart, talent, and skill. Skill is always being worked on. I don't care how long you've been playing and how many free throws you've taken. You still practice shooting free throws. You still practice blocking and tackling. It is what you do. The highest level performers in any industry always are training, and they have the most training. They train the most. They have the most coaching. They coach the most. They're involved because of what they do. They know to perform and to function at the level that's required, that they have the standard of excellence that they know they need to keep working on getting better and better. And that's the training culture. And so the goal of training is to equip, which means to be equipped means I have the tools and I have the training. And when I'm equipped, I'm ready. And that's what we're committed to, is say we are equipping people, our leaders on our team. Our team is leaders, and they're equipped for the mission. They are equipped and they're ready. Dr. Stephen, the 6 sides of the Rubik's Cube will crescendo, and we'll wrap it here, is the 6th side. And again, to me, it ties a beautiful bow. It brings us all the way back to the beginning. And that 6th side is energy.
Yeah, Dr. Pete, as you're speaking there, I was thinking, this is probably landing heavy on some people, right? As it's like, man, wait a minute, I thought you said I was ready. It's like, I'm not so sure if I'm ready getting into 2024. But as I listen to you talk about training, it's like, okay, so if you're feeling like that, start there. Start with training, right? Like you're right. So it's like, okay, vision, training. Like just like, okay, I'm super clear on my vision. All right, got that. Now let's start training. Let's just at least start feeling like we can invest time, energy, focus, and money into something that's going to move us forward, right? And nothing will do it like training, right? So it's the greatest return on your investment of time, energy, focus, and money. Marketing is a distant second, right? So it's just like, just lean in right there, because some of you are like, oh man, training should be a culture. My training is a train wreck. We used to train, right? That it worked really well, so we stopped doing it. It's like classic chiropractic, right? It's like, don't get away from your training, right? So when do you stop training? When you want to start sucking, right? Training is about mastery. You never stop shooting those free throws. You never stop putting, hitting a bucket of balls, strumming the guitar, banging the keys on the piano. You never stop, right? So everything that makes, it takes good to great at the essence of its DNA is training, and your investment in training. So it's all about putting energy where it needs to go. So that's our 6th side of the Rubik's Cube. It just lands us beautifully. Energy is like, what are you making important now? Like when you're directing everybody's time, energy, focus, and it's directing the energy, what you focus on grows. And this is absolutely truthful here. So audit yourself, ask yourself, as a leader, where's my energy? Is my energy ready? Right. So it's like, is the team's energy ready? Is the practice's energy ready? Frankly, the tribe's energy ready going into 2024. Truth is some of you are coming in here hot today, sliding in 2 wheels, coming in and being like, woof, made it to the podcast today. Some of you are limping into the room, and you know what? We get it. We get it. We're doing lives with you guys. We're right here with you in the trenches, on the field with you, as they say. These are not two guys pontificating from the mountaintop. We were laughing and joking about our week leading into this podcast. Holy crap. This week, the last 2 weeks of the year is just no joke, man. It is legit. It is no joke. But you know what we're coming into? We're coming into the Christmas season. We get to celebrate the birth of our Lord. We get to spend downtime with our families. We get to just take a beat, take a breath, slow down. I'm just going to encourage everybody. It's like right now, this is the time to plug in that iPhone, right? Recharge that battery, soak up some sun, jump into the ocean, get some vitamin fun, whatever it is for you. Don't miss this opportunity to recharge yourself and make sure that you're protecting your team. They get that same opportunity. Take a breather, right? Oxygenate and get yourself ready for what promises to be just an extraordinary journey ahead. We're super excited about it. We are vigilant and we are optimistic that 2024 is going to be the best year yet because we, like you, are ready.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy. All right, Remarkable CEO podcast crew, we are in the studio. I'm in the studio with two amazing chiropractors, colleagues. We've developed a friendship. We're developing a deeper friendship and relationship over the years. They're remarkable partners of ours in Remarkable Practice. We have our success partners, and these are doctors who own a business and have a business that I'm really looking forward to digging into. We're going to talk business today. We're going to talk about the expansion of chiropractic and how to reach more people. I know we're going to talk about how to make a bigger impact, make a bigger income, and use leverage, technology, systems, training. I know we're going to dig into all that today. Super pumped to have with me in the studio Dr. Chad Woolner, who hopefully you guys have met before and have heard before, Dr. Andrew Wells as well, with Simplified Functional Medicine. Hey guys, super pumped to have a organic discussion about business today. Thanks for joining me. Say hello to our awesome audience here today, please.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having us, Pete.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's great to be together. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourselves. I think it's a really good place to start. Who you are, where you're at, what you're up to. I think that's a really good place to start. Andrew, I'll throw it over to you, man. Tell us a little about who you are, our audience, where you're at, what you're up to. What do you got?
Yeah, well, there's a lot to cover there. I'm a chiropractor, started practice in 2012. One of the things that I really liked about practice, there's a lot of things I like about practice, but one of the things I loved is the systems. Like, what does it take to run an office efficiently? And I like the human psychology part of practice. Like, why do patients make certain decisions? Why do they decide to get healthy? What keeps them from getting healthy? And I like the psychology behind that. And I also like the psychology of just running the business and building teams and creating the systems that really help practices thrive. That's kind of what I geek out on. You can really categorize that under, I think, personal development. I started working with Chad. I hired him to help me with some marketing for a previous business, and he taught me how to do really dynamic webinars. He actually convinced me, thankfully, to do my first podcast years ago, which I was really nervous about. And one of the things, and this is a little bit off topic of what you asked me about, but this is a CEO podcast. I want to brag on Chad for just a minute. One of the things that I look forward to every week is I get a call at 9:40 a.m. So Chad's Mountain Time, I'm Eastern Time. I get a call at 9:40 a.m. and Chad's on the phone Monday morning, and I'm waiting because this is how the conversation starts. He goes, "Dude, I got an amazing idea. This is going to blow your mind." He goes, "Check this out." And then he'll just go, we have a conversation about like a new breakthrough idea that Chad's had. It's almost like 80% of the time, Mondays, that's what we're talking about. And the Chad many people have probably heard of him as a marketer. So he was one of the first people who really brought forward the concept of bringing funnels into marketing for chiropractors. And but Chad has a really creative brain, and one of the things he's always trying to do is figure out solutions to common problems that chiropractors have. And he's an amazing, like, brilliant. If we could bottle up just a fraction of the ideas that he has, it's like a success for us. One of the challenges that we have is how to take some of his ideas and actually implement them and make them work. That's that's a broad way of asking, like, what are we into? What are we into is just how do we fix problems for chiropractors? How do we fix problems for patients? How do we get chronically sick people healthy? And that's really all of our conversations are based around that. And some of that is like actual patient stuff, problems that we're solving, but a lot of it is how do we help chiropractors, healthcare providers, help more patients. We're in the business of empowering practitioners to empower patients. And I'm very blessed to be working with Chad because his mind never stops working on creative ideas. And a lot of his ideas come from the fact that he just reads a lot. He listens to other podcasts. He's an avid learner. And so he'll spin off these concepts from other very smart people and kind of condense those down into how it applies to the chiropractic profession. So I will, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's like, when I think of like what my work, it's funny. That's what I think of. It's weird. Like, people ask me what I do and, like, do you like your job? And I always come back to like these Monday morning calls that I have with Chad, and that's the stuff that really makes me happy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could just run with what you just said there, and we could just go there, but I am going to allow and ask, request that Chad chime in. I want to hear from you. Pretty awesome story there, and just an awesome start to our meeting. So Chad, same framing of same questions for you. Just, now that we know a little bit more about you, tell us anything else we need to know.
Yeah, my first question is this an audio only? Because they're going to see the blushing from all of the glowing accolades from Andrew there. I'm flattered by what he has said. And truth be told, I'll keep it short. Everything he has said about me, I could echo the same things. We jokingly refer to our team as Voltron for those who are kids of the 80s. If you don't remember who Voltron is or was, it was like the robot arms and legs and body that form like this machine. Like, we feel like we all have these really, really incredibly complementary powers, which we do not take for granted. We feel that that's and I'm sure you feel the same way probably about your relationship dynamic with Stephen Franson and the other team members there. Remarkable. It's a really beautiful thing when you can find the right team to work together and to synergize and harmonize and everything like that. But I would say, in a similar vein to the question, what do we love to do? What are we currently up to? I'm in the unique position of running my own practice, the CEO of my own practice, but I not long ago actually brought Andrew and Jason on board as essentially consultants to help me in that process of helping to scale my practice. Because truth be told, if I can just be totally transparent, because I want other practitioners to hear real world stuff, not just like this, varnished, perfectly polished, we've got everything figured out. I brought my practice to as far as I could take it myself. And I found that there was substantial limitations that I had in my skill set. And I can dig deep on that. If we want to dig deep, I'll bear my scars and all that stuff and be honest. But I'm super grateful for Andrew and Jason, because they have helped immensely in terms of helping me scale my practice and have taken a lot of that burden of a lot of the team development and or systemization of things, and really helped a ton with that. And so I'm in my practice, but I'm also operating and CEO of Simplified Functional Medicine. And so I'm kind of doing that to some extent. Some would say it's a no-no where you've got your foot in multiple businesses, but I just can't not do that. I love both. My heart is definitely in both places. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hopefully that gives you a clear answer of kind of what we're up to.
Well, I mean, I think it's a perfect segue. So I have, immediately I go to a no. He says it's a no to be in two places, but actually what I want to talk about is what enables you to do it successfully. Okay.
Right.
I want to talk about what is it that enables you to successfully navigate as the CEO of multiple businesses to be able to function in this way. Let's break that down. So we don't have to get in, like you said, to the weeds in your practice and expose all the scars and things like that. But I think it would be good from a contextual standpoint to talk about what it is that you're able to do and why, and what it is that then you also are helping other doctors do. You talked about you love solving problems for the practitioners, for the chiros.
Yeah.
You love solving problems for the public. You specifically used chronically sick people. You use that. So I just want to run with that. But talk about that. Like what does that look like? So how do you pull it off successfully? I'd love to hear that.
Great question. On my end, and I'll let Andrew chime in on this too, but I would simply say, I'll start with what might appear at first to be like kind of a vague answer. But it's the honest truth. If we look at it from a mile up, it really boils down to our mission statement of empowering practitioners to empower their patients. If you look at the Simplified Functional Medicine clinical model, it would look far more chiropractic than most people would realize. In fact, many of the quote unquote functional medicine purists out there would look at what we do and would deem it not functional medicine, right? Not that we don't use supplements, not that we don't use diagnostic testing, but our secret, if you want to call it that, is the secret is that patients have the power to heal themselves, right? That we need to tap into that innate ability of the body to be able to heal itself. That's the prevailing message. We feel, and we have felt for some time, that functional medicine has, in many respects, we'll say many in the functional medicine arena, collectively have started to see a shift that I think functional medicine has, in many respects, become something it was never intended to become. And it's starting to look a lot more allopathic in nature than I think many would like to see, right? And the answer is always, well, it's better than pharmaceuticals because it's natural supplements, right? We're not giving them drugs, we're giving them natural supplements. And sure, yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, is that the solution? Because if that's the solution, which many, even though they're not intending it to look that way, it is. And again, that's not the empowering solution we're looking for. What we're looking for is to ignite, if you will, within patients, the intrinsic motivation and the intrinsic drivers to enable that innate ability of the body to heal itself. That's what's ultimately going to drive the results and the outcomes. And so we're really big on, like Andrew kind of talked about, personal development and motivation, the science and psychology of what it is that drives people to change. And it just so happens that it's those same factors working with patients. I think one of the smartest things chiros could do is not see a distinction or a difference between them and their patients. And I think sometimes they inadvertently do that, where it's like, we've got these things figured out. The reality of it is we're all human beings. Chiros fall and are susceptible to the same traps and the same mistakes and the same shortcomings and the same pitfalls that our patients get caught up in. And the sooner we can see the similarities, the sooner we can kind of make the corrections necessary to be in a better position to lead our patients, right? And so, again, that's what we mean by empowering our practitioners. It's showing within them that it's not the remarkable practice or Pete Camiolo or Stephen Franson or Chad Woolner or Andrew Wells that are going to save you or your practice, or some cool new tactic or marketing strategy or business hack or anything like that. It's you. You're going to be the one. What we're simply trying to facilitate is an empowerment process. So that's what I would say there. Andrew, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for doctors and patients alike, we all have goals. We have goals for our practice, and patients have goals for their health. There's a place that they want to get to. And I'll start with the patient example first. So with patients, let's say they're coming in with, let's say, digestive issues and fatigue problems, right? They want to get rid of those issues. As providers and with the hearts that we have, oftentimes we want to just like solve that problem as quickly and in as many ways that we can possibly help them solve those issues. And oftentimes we don't paint a really clear picture of what that's going to take for the patient. And so we're really big into concepts like creating success paths for patients. So let's say we want our patients to change the way they eat, to change the way they move, to change the way they think, to change their morning routines and evening routines. it's important to understand we need to take patients where they are and provide a very clear success path, meeting them where they are and showing them how you get to that point. And that may be a month, 6 months, a year, but creating very clear, so tactically speaking, creating very clear onboarding processes and giving them, it's very much the crawl, walk, run approach with patients versus saying, all right, so Pete, you have digestive issues and fatigue. This is a result of chronic inflammation. So what we're going to do is when you go home, we're going to start the AIP diet. So that's the autoimmune paleo diet. And basically you're going to eat, stop eating everything you're eating up until this point, and you're going to eat lots of vegetables and clean proteins and healthy fats, and you're going to eliminate pretty much everything you're eating. So we're going to start that today. And Pete's like, well, cool. How long do I have to be on that? Well, until you get better, it's going to be easy. Don't worry, you got this. We're going to provide you with all the resources you need. You're going to be fine. And not giving them any clear reasons why, or giving them some little carrots along the way to keep them on track. And I find that's one of the biggest frustrations for doctors in helping them patients, become empowered to change their lifestyle, is they get very frustrated not having those clear success paths. And they oftentimes are, well, patients aren't going to do that. They're lazy. They're never going to change their diet. They're never going to do meditation in the morning. They're never going to exercise. They absolutely will. We just have to show them a way that they can do that and really walk them through and give them all the tools to make those changes. And so the same can be said about a provider, a doctor, right? So if you're taking them from $100,000 a year practice to $1 million practice, you can't just give them all the day one, day two steps and team training protocols and stats and all those. They're not going to implement that overnight. What does the success path look like to get from point A to point Z? And that's what you guys do really well. But that I think is one of the biggest things, is helping helping create success paths, doable success paths for patients and for doctors.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I want to talk about success paths for doctors, just for the sake of the podcast. So, you're a success partner with Remarkable Practice. We already know that the Remarkable Practice offers a lot of things that we really help doctors, but then there's things that we don't offer, which is why, we have partnered with Simplified Functional Medicine, because we said, okay, we have practitioners that we work with that have visions for their businesses and things they want to create and expand and into the functional medicine arena and space. So that's where it's like, well, that's what you guys are doing specifically. So talk a little bit about what you do for a practitioner. So if I'm a chiro listening, which there's chiros listening right now, who are the docs who come to you that are like, yes, I need what you guys offer. Like this is how we do this. So how are you helping doctors? What's the success path, for an example, at a high level that you create for a doctor listening and knowing their CEOs on the other side who are considering different ways they can grow and expand their businesses this year and in the years ahead? What is Simplified Functional Medicine? How do you guys help them with that? I love to talk kind of like a high level success paths. So whoever wants to jump in.
Just to kind of segue into that, and that's a great question. I will humbly say that Chad and I are both previous functional medicine failures. And what we realized years ago were that we are having patients come into our chiropractic offices who had things like neck pain and back pain, headaches, musculoskeletal issues, things that most consumers would think of chiropractors as being able to help. But we also noticed that a lot of our patients were dealing with hormone issues. They were dealing with digestive issues. They couldn't sleep. They had depression, anxiety. And sometimes chiropractic care wasn't enough to solve those issues. Sometimes it just, removing subluxations would help, but not all the issues. And so in our practice, we would dive into like nutrition. And what I found was I would spend hours coaching patients on their nutrition, or hours, like we would even have exercise classes in our office, like showing patients how they can exercise at home without weights and things like that. And it was always well received. But the frustrating part was oftentimes the patients wouldn't actually continue those things or even start those things at home. They were always reliant on us to kind of hold their hand through the process. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to fix this issue. I'm going to get certified as a functional medicine practitioner. So there must be something I'm missing here. And so I went back to school, so to speak, and I got, certified as a functional medicine practitioner, meaning I learned all kinds of different physiological pathways, and I learned all kinds of different lab tests and supplement protocols and things like that. And kind of to Chad's point, realized that was a part of it, but it was kind of an allopathic approach to solving those issues. It was all lab testing, supplementation. And you know, what I knew to be the reality was that's really not functional medicine. That's band-aiding things with supplements. The real change came from patients making different decisions at home. And so I think this is a frustrating thing for a lot of chiropractors, as they want to help fix these issues, but they don't have the tools and resources to do that. And a lot of our docs that come to us have been through similar situations where they tried the whole, you know, conventional functional medicine approach and found out there were a lot of rabbit holes to approaching functional medicine that way. And they, like in Chad's case, he created what he called the Frankenstein approach to functional medicine, where he would do adjustments on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and he would do functional medicine stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And he really kind of like, he wasn't doing either one of those things great. He was doing okay at both those things, which is a recipe for disaster in a practice. So what we help doctors do is, as our name would imply, simplified functional medicine. We help them simplify the process by leveraging tools, resources, technology, and your team in a lot of cases to do a lot of these things for you in your practice. So as the CEO, if you're the CEO in your practice, the last thing that you need is another job. And there's lots of jobs that you can take on. When it comes to functional medicine, the nice thing is a lot of these things that we teach can be delegated, not only to your team, but also most importantly, the patient. Sometimes we don't look at delegating responsibilities and skills to the patient, but if we're talking about empowering patients, that's exactly what we're talking about. Much like you would train a staff member, we train patients as well. And so we show doctors how to really make a bigger impact with their patients without eating up more of their time or even more of their staff's time. And we've leveraged some kind of key philosophies and thought patterns, but also we've leveraged a lot of technology to do that for us and for our providers and our patients. Chad,
really good. Love that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's powerful that, you know, as I'm listening to you, you know, even in my practice career, you know, probably a bit of Frankenstein situation as well, as Doc Chad would describe it. And, you know, I built a gym. I had, you know, a nutritionist on staff. We were trying to figure out what to do, like all the time with the supplements and which ones we should carry. I mean, it was a lot, and it was overwhelming, and it was, you know, you could look back and say, did we really nail it? Did you really do that well? I know we did the chiro side really, really well, you know, and that's what I ended up doing, was just saying, well, I'm going to stay focused on the main thing, because this is what I know is my jam. And so we just did that, but that was almost by default. Like, it didn't have to be that way, because we didn't have somebody like Simplified Functional Medicine maybe at the time that really existed to come alongside of a practitioner such as myself that easily could have integrated this into the business and scaled it to the next level. Because we had team, we had systems, we had a vision. We just didn't have a strategy. We didn't have a model. So talk a little bit about that, Chad. I'd love to hear, you know, your story a little bit maybe, and kind of make it very practical here.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I can't help but think of one of the first pieces of advice that I got from Russell Brunson years ago. Russell's a good friend of mine. He's the founder of ClickFunnels. Most people know him in the marketing and funnel world. When I got the opportunity to meet him years ago, when I was literally first starting my practice, I moved into the neighborhood where he lived and met him at church. And I had coincidentally just seen him online. Prior to that, I was doing some research for building a website for the clinic that I was working at the time. And then I walk into church and I see Russell Brunson. I was like, hey, that's that Russell Brunson guy. So we struck up a conversation, became very, very fast friends. And one of the first pieces of advice that he said to me in practice, he's like, here's what you need to do. And his advice was great, but I misapplied the advice. And so here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. I joke, and it's funny because I tell Stephen Franson this joke all the time. He said, find someone who has done what you want to do very well, pay them whatever they want to have them show you what to do. And that's what he said, pay them whatever. And so I did the whole pay whatever, but I paid the wrong people is basically what I did. I didn't find the right people. That's the key, right? Finding the right people who have done what you want to do. And I told Steven this, the joke with Steven is like, where the heck was Remarkable Practice when I was starting my practice? I'm like, I promise my story would have had far less bumps and bruises had I met you guys way, way early on in practice. But that's neither here nor there. But the point is this. We're getting ready. Andrew and I are getting ready to host a seminar in Phoenix in 2 weeks. And during that seminar, it's going to be a very heavy marketing and business intensive. And one of the days we're going to be showing docs basically how to create your own niche condition or condition specific type program step by step. But we're giving the caveat and the warning, not as a sales pitch, just the honest truth. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We'll literally show you step by step what we've done to develop Simplified Functional Medicine and other niche condition specific type programs. We'll show you the exact step-by-step blueprint. However, be aware that when you see it, it's going to feel and look fairly daunting because it is. It's a lot of freaking work to do it. And so you as the CEO can do that. You totally can. And you can, for some who like, I would say, and I don't mean this offensively, ignorantly want to venture into that space, what more often than not happens is they go a quarter of the way or halfway through, or sometimes maybe even 3/4 of the way through, only to find like, this is way too much. This is just way too exhausting. And so because it is, it's not something that's built overnight by any means. There's that approach, the DIY approach. The other approach that we encourage docs to look into, not just because we make money from it, that's fantastic that we do, and that's great, but because it really is a shortcut for them, is just the plug and play approach. We have a proven model, both from a clinical standpoint, gets amazing patient outcomes, but also from a business standpoint, it's been vetted, and it's still being refined and evolved. You know what I mean? We're constantly carving and polishing and figuring things out. What we've had members in Simplified Functional Medicine who've been with us since day one, and they've seen a massive, for the better, evolution over time, and it just gets better and better and better. And so the whole idea of how do we, the short answer to your, or I should say long answer to your question, you know, how does a CEO plug that in without creating massive disruptions, is you find a proven model and you simply plug that model in. And that's the most efficient way to do it. If you want to create it from scratch, again, we'll gladly show you how to do that. We'll tell anybody. There's no real like secret stuff that we keep hidden back. Like I'll tell you literally step by step the process. But again, what'll wind up happening is more often than not, we start to at some point get this glazed look on their eyes in terms of like, holy crap, you know, we're at step 198, you know, and they're like, whoa, you know, like that's what you do, you know? So that's the fastest shortcut. And I'm not alone in this. Russell Brunson's not alone in this. The same thing Tony Robbins teaches, right? Is modeling. The fastest way to get where you want to get is find somebody who's been there already, who's blazed that trail, and then model that, just do that. And that's and I'm sure that's what you guys teach as well, is find a model, adopt that model that's been proven.
100%. So I love this conversation, and we're going to continue this conversation because we get to run together, but I know a lot of our docs probably are interested in learning more. So what's the best way for one of our listeners to connect with you guys if they want to learn more about what you're doing at Simplified Functional Medicine? What's the best, way for them to reach you guys, connect with you? What would you suggest?
The easiest way, if you're interested in helping patients, number one, with like things like hormone issues and digestive issues and sleep problems, things like that, what we call functional medicine issues, go to our website. It's simplifiedfunctionalmedicine.com. On the website, we have a tab called On Demand Training. Click on that, and there's a training on exactly how simplified functional medicine works, how it plugs into your practice, how you help patients get better, what the business model looks like. It gives docs a really quick kind of, but also deep overview of the principles of how the program works. And if docs who are interested, like, yeah, this makes sense, this is pretty cool, they can set up a demo call. That's with me. And I really go over with the docs how we can plug this into their specific business model. So if you're a subluxation, philosophy-based chiropractor, how does that work in your practice? If you're, a different style practice, we work with all different types of providers, chiropractors, we work with nurses and medical doctors and acupuncturists. We work with lots of different business models. And so my job is to figure out how this applies to your practice and your patient base. That would be the easiest way to start.
Awesome. All right. Well, you heard it here. Go to simplifiedfunctionalmedicine.com and check out the training there and set up a demo call if you want to learn more and dig deeper with Dr. Andrew. So Dr. Andrew, Dr. Chad, thank you for taking the time to join me on our Remarkable CEO podcast today. Greatly appreciate you and the energy that you're bringing to our great profession. Thank you for being a remarkable success partner and helping our doctors help more people. I love that that's your mission, to empower practitioners, to empower their patients. That's so aligned with what we're doing. So that's why we are in a partnership with you. For all of you who are listening, thanks for tuning in and joining us all the way to this moment. Remember to tune in next week for the next episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Until then, God bless you all and have a remarkable week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.